Yo, we just got a massive Woj bomb from DC Studios where it's being reported that the Sergeant Rock movie has officially been canceled. You heard that right, I did not stutter. They really said, Sergeant Rock, we ain't rocking with you. But on top of that, we learned a whole bunch of new details on what the story would have been, who was cast, and how this is gonna affect future DC Studios movies, like the Batman Part 2. And either way, me and you know what we gotta do. We gotta talk about it. And this news comes to us from all the big publications like The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, where they are reporting that Luca Guadagnino's Sergeant Rock movie at DC Studios is no longer moving forward as it's been canceled. We are getting conflicting reports on whether this is actually canceled or just delayed indefinitely, because according to these reports from THR and The Wrap, they're saying that the film may still happen. But when I hear something like film will be reassessed at the end of the year for a potential summer 2026 shoot, I think that means it's more than likely getting canceled. And I know what y'all are probably thinking, Sammy, who is Sergeant Rock? And I'm not gonna hold you. My comic knowledge on Sergeant Rock, if I had to put it on a numerical scale, would be 0! But we gotta pick things up with a flashback to when this movie was first announced, because I was honestly genuinely very excited for this film. Because that news, like a Randy Orton RKO, came out of nowhere. Somehow, some way, James Gunn, Peter Safran, and Warner Brothers and DC Studios snagged one of the most prolific filmmakers working today to make a Sergeant Rock film for DC Studios. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, who the fuck is Sergeant Rock? I don't really care, because we got Luca Guadagnino attached. And on top of that, it was reported that Daniel Craig was gonna be playing the lead role of Sergeant Rock in this movie. So my hype was through the roof, because this signaled that DC Studios was trying to find some of the best filmmakers working today and just letting them cook. Who cares how popular the character is? You just know he was going to cook up something special. Because I've loved all of his recent work, Challengers, Queer, Bones and All, the Suspiria remake, Call Me By Your Name. He's just an incredible filmmaker. Frequently collaborating with Sayambu Muktipram, who's one of our greatest DPs working today. I was very optimistic about this movie. But then we learned that Daniel Craig wasn't attached to star as Sergeant Rock. Either he was never attached or he dropped out. And the last bit of news we got on Sergeant Rock was that Colin Farrell was being eyed to star as Sergeant Rock. Now, immediately, I know what y'all are probably thinking. Hi, name's Oz. He just played Penguin in his own series and in the Batman. But I mean, me and many logical people were like, this is just so far removed from being Colin Farrell that he could definitely pull off playing two different characters. Plus, it's probably not even in the same universe. So take it easy, sweetheart. It couldn't hoit. But that was the last bit of news we had on Sergeant Rock until today. With the fate of the universe on the line, the Martians got the death beam pointed at Earth. David Zaslav pointed at Sergeant Rock and said, kill that guy. But not before we learned a bunch of new details on what this movie was actually going to be about. So on top of the fact that Colin Farrell was cast in the lead role, we also learned that Mike Feist, who was just recently in Challengers for Luca Guadagnino, was cast in another role as well. And the film would have followed Sergeant Rock trying to find the Spear of Destiny, which was the spear that stabbed Jesus during his crucifixion before the Nazis found it. And that sounds exciting because it sounds to me like we would have got G.I. Robot back too. We actually got introduced to Sergeant Rock in Creature Commandos. I'm not gonna hold you, like now thinking about that plot, Luca Guadagnino, this sounds to me like it would have been some Inglourious Bastards, Raiders of the Lost Ark, fucking traveling, globe-trotting movie, just killing Nazis left and right, up, down. But sadly, like Kanye said, I guess we'll never know. Wait, hold on, maybe Kanye has something to do with this movie's cancellation. But David Zaslav better not be getting no ideas. I just hope that this Sergeant Rock movie isn't the first domino to fall in a series of dominoes for DC Studios, because you already know this movie's got a big old target on its back from David Zaslav. He's like, if I don't get an update soon, yeah, Battinson, kill that guy. Which is crazy considering that we still have Andy Muschietti employed by DC Studios to make a Batman movie. Like, this is kind of reading like no one's gonna go watch this movie, regardless of how well made it is. So let's just scrap it, which unfortunately is the business side of movie making. And this is just speculation on my part, but like I said, what had me most excited was the fact that DC Studios is going to actually allow these directors to cook. So I'm really hoping and praying that this is just a one-time thing, because we still have that Mike Flanagan movie for Clayface. But that's all the news we got from DC Studios today. Let me know what you think of this news. Drop a comment down below, and as always, like and follow for more.